All right. I think we are officially live here on this Wednesday morning. It is September 15th. I had to look at my calendar. Yes, we are halfway through September, which is crazy that we are already halfway through. I mean, where does the time go, right? Quick. Man. All right. So today, what I did want to do is, I wanted to talk about something that, a lot of people ask me, and that is how many words should a blog post be to rank in Google? And today, what I'm going to share with you is, I'm going to give you that answer, but it's an answer you're going to have to figure out specifically tailored towards your keyword that you're trying to rank for. Because the truth is, not all keywords are created equal. And I'll dive into that. But I've got like 3 steps here, and I'm calling this the 3-step ninja hack. Why not make it sound real sexy? So I'm going to be breaking this down. And I might do an over-the-shoulder video actually showing this too, maybe on an upcoming session. So that way there I can kind of walk you through it visually as well. But this is something that will allow you to know exactly how many words, but then also what needs to be in the content, not just the words. So that's what we're going to be covering here today. So with that all being said, I'm just going to make sure that I am live. I know someone had said, I think it was the Scooby Life, good morning. There's no thumbnail on your video. And that's interesting because there should have been. But I guess there wasn't. So, oh well. But here we are now. So it looks like we are coming through okay. Give me a thumbs up, if you will. Can hear and see you. Okay, Salma, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. All right, cool. So let's get this thing started. I am going to kick this thing off. For those of you that don't know, I think I mentioned this earlier, getting ready to head out of town. We're going to be going to Texas. Which we're going to be meeting up with my daughter, my son-in-law, and my grandbaby. So, it's going to be a lot of fun, but I've got a lot to do today because we're catching a morning flight and we'll be in Texas for 4 days. Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll be home Sunday night, later. So no volleyball this weekend, which is kind of odd because every weekend we've been pretty much doing beach volleyball. But this weekend we don't. We're going to be just hanging out in Texas. All right, let's get kicking this thing off. If you guys have any questions during or after, let me know. And then we can go ahead and address those. This will be a podcast episode, so I will kick this thing off the way that I normally do. And we'll get rocking and rolling. I know that we'll probably have questions because, whenever we talk about word count and, how many words, how many images, how many this, that, and the other thing for writing a piece of content. And the truth is there are some ways that we can kind of see what Google wants and what they've chosen has done well. But there is no set rule. But I'll dig into that here in a second. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. And I should probably also mention this. Just sent out an email. If you guys are on my email list, you can go to takeactioncrew.com if you want to join the list, and you'll get things that we talk about there. Today, I talked about a rant that I did, and I'm actually thinking about doing Friday's jam session on that. And I'm going to be testing something on Friday. So if you are one of our Take Action Crew peeps, Friday, I'm going to be curious to see what you think of Friday's jam session. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I've done it before. So I'll just leave it at that. A little curiosity thing there. So if you want to see that, come on back over and make sure that you tune in on Friday. All right. So with that being said, let's kick this thing off. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. And today we're going to be talking about something that I get asked so much ever since I've been talking about creating these niche properties or these niche properties. I still get people that say, Scott, it's not niche, it's niche. And then I get some people that say, no, Scott, it's not niche, it's niche. It doesn't really matter. To me, I'm going to call it a niche. And maybe sometimes I'll call it a niche. I don't know. Maybe I'll try one episode to just make it one way or the other. We'll have some fun with it. But regardless, you know what I'm talking about. So ever since I started talking about building out these niche properties and kind of building out my own little portfolio, one of the main things that we're doing here is we're creating content that is a lot of times informational. So that way there we attract questions that people are asking around this topic, and they come over to the website, and then we monetize the traffic through ad networks and affiliate offers. Like, that's the base level of everything that happens here. But you do need to know, how am I going to rank my content? And there's a lot of discussion out there. And a lot of times people are like, well, Scott, it has to be over a certain amount of words, right? It has to be over 2,000 words, 1,500 words. What's the exact, number that you're producing? And up until this point, we've been pretty much sticking to anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 words. Baseline, that's what we're doing. Okay. Now I've heard some people say, well, Scott, you could do 800 words and do just fine. Maybe. But I want to make sure that the information is being covered. I want to make sure that it's in depth enough. And I just want to make sure that that's my baseline. So I'm starting 1,200, 1,500 is kind of baseline. Now that doesn't mean I won't do one that's 3,000, 2,000, 1,800. But what I am going to be doing here moving forward is we're going to be looking a little bit more at the competition. All right. A little bit more at the competition to let us know how many words we should be publishing with other things on that page that we're going to be modeling. Okay. So today what we're going to be talking about is how many words should a blog post have to be ranked, okay, on Google. And I'm going to give you a little simple ninja hack. It's 3 steps, and I'm going to walk you through it. Now, I may do a follow-up episode, but it might be actually myself on video walking through. So kind of looking over my shoulder. This is something that we cover inside of our niche properties class. Again, little shameless plug here. If you've not yet taken the class and you're interested in building out a niche property, head on over to, let's see here, buildnicheproperties.com. That'll take you there and you can join the class. We'd love to have you. All right. So let's kind of dig in here. The very first thing that we need to understand is there's different types of keywords. Okay. And what I mean by that is there's low competition keywords and there's more competitive type keywords. Depending on how your site is currently, okay, as far as having authority, that will also depend on how your keyword research is going to go. Now, I'm going to assume that you're starting from scratch. You're not building it on an expired domain or a site that's already been producing content, and you have a domain authority score of a 0, okay? So if that's what we're doing, then we have to look at low competition keywords, okay? And I'm talking about long tail keywords. I'm also talking about question-based posts, so more informational and not even necessarily where it's how to, it's just answering a basic question, okay? And, the question that I usually throw out there is, can you catch bass in a pond? Or maybe it's, can you catch bass in a pond at night? That would be a longer tail, okay? So those are what we're talking about, though. We're talking about the long tail, okay? So we need to look at the competition. So the very first thing that I'm going to be analyzing, because we have to analyze the competition, and I'll give you a couple different ways to do this and what we look at, okay? But what we want to do is we want to look at the competition on page 1. Why? Because we want to be on page 1, right? So the very first thing that we need to do is evaluate that, okay? We need to evaluate that. Now, there's a few things that we can do here, okay? And we can do it up front before we even start going down the path of if we're even going to create this piece of content, okay? So the first thing that I want to look at is those top 10, right? And I'm going to look probably at the top 5 to see, because I want to get in there maybe, right? And so what I want to look at is their domain authority. Okay, it's the very first thing I'm going to look at, and their domain authority could be a 10, It could be a 30. It could be a 70. Okay. So I'm looking at that. Now, one little side note here is when you're looking at a domain authority, and if you're wondering, how do you know what the domain authority is? I'm using a tool called Ubersuggest. And I'll link everything up in the show notes. I'm not an affiliate for it. And the main reason is because they don't have an affiliate program for it, or I would be, because I recommend it to everyone I know and all my students. But that's the tool right now. For me, it's the simplest. There's other ones you can use. It's Ahrefs, SEMrush. There's other ones out there. And there's actually one that I am using right now that I'm testing. And I might bring that to the show. It's pretty cool. And actually, it kind of builds on what I'm doing here. But at a very, very base level, we're going to type a keyword into Ubersuggest, or a seed keyword. Now, a seed keyword would be something like bass fishing. And then what I would do is I would see the questions that are being asked against bass fishing. And that's where I'm going to get some long tail. Okay. But then what I want to do is I want to click a filter inside of Ubersuggest that ranks the difficulty from 0 to 35. And there's a little filter inside of there. And like I said, I might do a follow-up podcast episode that will go through actually me doing this. But just to kind of give you the play-by-play and the things that we're doing here, and you can kind of manage your way through it if you just look for the filter inside of Ubersuggest. You click on it where it'll say difficulty, SEO difficulty, and then you'll just click on 0 to 35. That'll give you everything in the green. Now, we're not done there. That's just kind of getting rid of all of the high competition stuff. But even though that might be in the green, or 0 to 35 as the difficulty score, there still might be some sites in there that you're not going to outrank. And you're still going to have to do some more digging. Okay. So let's just say that we do that, okay? The next thing that we're going to look at also in Ubersuggest is the backlinks coming to that page. So just remember this, okay? And a page is a post, really. When we're talking about ranking a piece of content, we also need to understand it's not the website that's ranking, it's the page that's ranking, okay? Or the post. Not the website, it's the post. So when I say that you have 100 different pieces of content out there, that's 100 different posts. That's 100 different opportunities to rank for. It's not the main homepage, okay? Yes, we want the homepage to still be good. And yes, we would love to have some traffic there, but it's more about these individual posts. So really important that we understand that. So what we're doing here is we're looking at that long tail, can you catch bass in a pond, okay? And then we're looking at the top results. Okay, we're going to look at the domain authority, and we're going to look at the backlinks. Now, if it has 1 backlink, if it has 10 backlinks, those are some things that I can look at and go, okay, they're going to have an advantage over me regardless of how long it is, how much content we actually have, right? If the domain authority is sky high, if the backlinks are sky high, or even they have 10 and we don't, it's going to be hard to outrank them. The other thing that I look at is the title of that post. Is the title of that post, can you catch bass in a pond? Then that would be, again, they've optimized. If that's not there, then that's a chance for me to optimize. So I'm looking at domain authority, backlinks, and title of page. Okay. Those are like the surface levels. So once I do that and I go, okay, I feel pretty good about this, then I'm going to start evaluating and analyzing those top 5 pages. Now, let me just back up here for a second. One thing that I will say is if you look at the top 10 and there are posts from Reddit, a forum, social media like Facebook, Twitter, anything like that, or even answers, that's a good opportunity for you, because even though they have a very high domain authority, usually, not always, you're going to be able to outrank them because you're going to be optimized specifically for that keyword and not just a Reddit thread. Okay. So a thread, a forum, something like that, a social media post, anytime that's in the top 10, that's a good sign for you. Okay. So then once we see that, we're like, okay, cool. We're going to have a good chance here. Okay. So once we do that, okay, so number one, we look at the competition. We're going to use a tool like Ubersuggest or any other tool that will show you the domain authority, backlinks coming to that post, and also allowing us to look at the top 10 at a glance. Okay. And then I'm going to look at the title of the post. Now, the second thing, like I said, we're going to analyze those top 10 pages. That's where we're going to start digging in, and we're going to look how many words do they have? Okay. How many words do they have? And you might be saying, well, Scott, how do I know this? Well, you can use a free tool. I'm not going to give you other tools to use right now. There are other tools that will give you like word count, and you can just do a search. There's plugins. There's all kinds of stuff. You don't really need that. What you'll do is you'll just copy, just basically, select all, copy, and then just go to a free tool like wordcounter.net, which is free, paste it in there, and boom, we can see how many words are in that article. Okay. So that's like step one. So you might go, oh, there's only 1,200 or there's only 900. Okay, cool. So that's what we're going to do there is we're going to say, okay, then I'm getting an idea now. How many words do I need? Now, if you do that and there's like 6,000, you might be like, okay, maybe I don't want to write on this one. Maybe I'm going to go to another long tail keyword. Okay. So that's number two is we're going to look at those top 10 pages. We're going to pick 5, and then we're going to start analyzing them. Okay. If the top 5 have way more than you want to write, then you might want to move on. Okay. Now, step 3 is where we're going to take this and bring it to the next level. And here's what I mean. We're going to reverse engineer what they've already proven has ranked for them. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at word count. We're going to look at the subtopics, and we call these the H2s, the H3s, the H4s. Again, if this doesn't make any sense to you and you want help with this, I would definitely recommend checking out our niche properties class, which we go in depth on this. And again, buildnicheproperties.com, and you can enroll over there. Little shameless plug. So your word count, your subtopics, again, H2, H3, H4s, basically just subtopics, bullet points, things like that. How many images are there? Are they good? Right? How many images are within that post? Is there a video in that? Is there an embedded video in there? Is it theirs? Is it someone else's? Is there internal links in going from that post to another post within their site? How many of those are there? Are there external links going out to other sites? How many are there? And then other graphics. Do they have some type of graphic that they had created to demonstrate or to show a better example? These are all things that we're going to look at to see what that competition looks like. Now, if you go there and they have one image, they have no video, they have no internal links, they have one external link, and they have 900 words, and the title of the post isn't exact, it's a pretty good chance that you're going to be able to outrank them because we've done the pre-analysis, right? We've looked at the domain authority of these sites. We've looked at maybe there's a Reddit post that's in the top 10 that we know we can grab that position at least. So those are some things that we're looking at. So all of those things I just covered, like word count, subtopics, images, video, internal links, external links, and graphics, those types of things, those are some basic optimization stuff as well. So we're kind of looking at their post as how well it's optimized. And if it is optimized well, how can I optimize mine better? So all we're doing is we're looking at something that's worked, okay? And then we're looking at the competition as far as like, do they have backlinks coming to it? What's, how much authority does their site have? Is it a Reddit post, a forum post, or is that included in the top 10? So those are some things that we're looking at that allow us to have more confidence to write this piece of content. And then how many words do I actually have to write? So again, if you're coming up with 800, 900 words, then you're like, oh gosh, I could do a 1,200 word, or maybe you want to do a 1,500 word. I would probably still do a 1,500 because I'd be like, you know what? I want to have a much better piece of content. If it has 2 images, I'm going to do 5 images, right? And all my images are going to be tagged and keyword loaded with something that's related to that post. I'm going to take the top 5 posts. I'm going to look at all their subtopics, and I'm going to make my subtopics similar. And then that way there, I know that Google wants that and is finding that and indexing that. So really, I'm just allowing another site or some different posts to tell me how many words that I should post and how well I should optimize it, right? And then it also allows me to see how hard the competition is and do I want to move on from this keyword, okay? Now, in the very, very, very beginning of this whole process, if you don't want to go through all that work, my suggestion is this: get 10 low competition keywords by just using the filter in Ubersuggest. Find something that's 30 or less and just publish it regardless, and just shoot for 1,200 to 1,500 words. Add, 3 to 5 images, have some good H2s, H3s, subtopics, some bullets, have some internal links, have some external links, embed a YouTube video that is helpful. I would do that all regardless if I had to or not. All right. That's just, to me, basic protocol when we're building out these posts. All right. So again, hopefully this has answered the question: how many words should a blog post have to rank in Google? And that's exactly how I would know exactly how many words that post should be. Again, let's kind of go through this. We'll do a little recap. So number one, we're going to look at the competition. Number one, okay, we want to look at their domain authority score, backlinks going to that post. Are there any Reddit threads, forum threads, social media posts that are already ranking in the top 10? Okay, again, the tools that we're using for that is Ubersuggest. Number two is we're going to analyze the top 10 pages, starting with the top 5. How many words do they have in the post that is ranking that you want to use as a guide? Okay. And the first thing that you want to do is see how many words it has and just copy all, put it into a tool like wordcounter.net for free and see how many words it has. Step 3 in this process is going through the top 3 to 5 results and analyze the word count, the subtopics, how many, H2, H3, H4, images, how many. Also, maybe even look and see if they are keyword loaded by going save image as, and you'll see what the title of that image is. Video embeds, are there any there? Internal links, external links, count those. And then are there any additional resources like graphics and things like that that make that post any better? And that's it. And once you go through this process, it's going to become easier and you're going to have, it's going to be a lot faster. Okay. Now, again, I know this might seem overwhelming. When you're first starting, you don't have to go through all that process. What you can do is just pick 10 or even 20 keywords, okay, long tail keywords that are low competition using the filter inside of Ubersuggest. And to be quite honest with you, the 2 sites that we're using as case studies inside of Brand Creators Academy, we didn't do this because I didn't really understand all of this when I first got started. And I've learned so much from posting over, well, let's see, 300 plus, over 650 articles. I've learned a lot. And I probably can shortcut this process by doing a little bit more of this. But in the very beginning, we're just blitzing our niche with content. And I would just go after those low competition keywords inside of Ubersuggest. All right. So hopefully this has helped you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, definitely make sure that you come over and hang out with us at our Take Action Morning Crew. You can go over to takeactioncrew.com. And also, if you want help with this further and you want to jump in and take our class, head on over to buildnicheproperties.com and you can join the class over there. And we walk you through step by step how to find a niche, how to build your website, how to add content by finding the right keywords, and then from there, how to optimize and how to rinse and repeat, and even how to outsource. All of that is done over at Niche Properties. All right. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Take care, take action, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cut. All right, guys. Got any questions? I know you're going to have questions. All right. Okay, here we go. If you wrote a blog post with 1,200 words and Yoast says blog has only 300 words and not enough words, that could be the issue. How much value should you give Yoast recommendations? Not all that much. I use Yoast as just a checklist. There's another one called Rank Math. We're testing them side by side. They're equally basically beneficial, but I don't like look at sometimes readability scores and things like that. I'm more or less looking at the on-page stuff as far as titles like H1, H2, H3, internal link, outbound links, images, things like that. And then that helps to kind of just follow that checklist. I do try to get it in the green, but if it's not, I don't stress about it. So I would say if you wrote a blog post for 1,200 words and Yoast says the blog has only 300 words, I don't know why it would say that. Something must not be calculating correctly if that's the case. Question posts work for every niche? Yes. If you're not in a niche that doesn't have questions, I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, I'm trying to think what would be something. I mean, if you were selling water filters, you would have questions. If you were buying flowers, you would have questions. If you were feeding birds, you would have questions. If you were, I don't know, gaming, you would have questions. There's questions around everything that we do, right? So questions are like the root of everything and the base. What's up, Aldo? Good to see you, man. Okay, so would 1,200 word blog rank higher than some topics less word competitor blog? Well, it depends. Again, so if you were looking at competition and they had a domain authority of a 50 and you got a 0, but their title is not the exact as the search, they have no backlinks going to that post, and their post is only 300 words and it has no images, I would love to test it. I would think you would outrank them if you have a title that matches that exact search, that you had a post that was 1,200 words, that you had a well-structured post that was optimized like we teach, okay, with your H1, H2, H3, and sometimes even H4s, having good images to make it nice and visually appealing, and then having some internal links, external links, and even embedding a video. Like, I don't know how you couldn't outrank them. And here's the other thing. We're only looking at that main search. Okay. We're only looking at, can you catch bass in a pond? And then inside of that post, you might talk about different things about catching bass in ponds, right? So you're going to have all these subtopics that you're going to probably get search traffic from as well. So it's always, we're going after that one, but there's a lot of all of these variations that come in from that one post. So always keep that in mind. Let's see here. Oh, what are some fun things to do in Texas? Actually, we're going to be heading over towards the Magnolia area. So my wife and my daughter are big fans of Joanna and Chip with Fixer Upper, I believe is the show. So we're going to be heading that way, and we're going to probably hang out over there. So that's what we're doing. And we rented an Airbnb, and we're just actually meeting up with those guys so we can just get to see our granddaughter and spend some time together. What service we can use to create infographics? I would say Fiverr. I would go to Fiverr for that. I think if you're just doing an infographic, go over there and find someone on Fiverr. And to be honest, you're probably going to spend anywhere from $40 to $50 on an infographic, which is actually a good idea because it can become linkable. People might want to link to that. Are there some key articles you would write based on your niche, regardless of competition, or should you do these later on? I would do them later on. I would just go after the basic questions, right? I was going over this with one of our students inside of BCA the other day, and we just cherry picked 10. And I'm like, just go after those. It's the simple stuff like, can palm trees grow in the winter? I'm looking at a palm tree outside. Can palm trees live, or how long can palm trees go without water? What type of food for palm trees? Can you trim palm trees? Just all of those things. Like that's what we're going after. Can you please explain more about the Reddit post? Yeah, well, a Reddit post is just a glorified forum, right? And a lot of times it's not a post that's giving information in a structured way, but basically Google is looking at it as, we don't have a lot that's matching this exact query. So we're going to use that because it's got a good domain authority and it's a topic that's being discussed. But usually, okay, we can outrank that. Okay. Same thing with the other one is like answers. I think it is another one. Any of those, even Wikipedia. So if you have a post that's well optimized, there's a good chance that you can outrank that. Let's see. Oh, how do you check image saved as for competitor's image? Well, it depends on what you're on. If you just right click on the image itself and then save image as, you'll see what it wants to save the image as. It'll show you that criteria. Let's see. About the niche I'm getting into, I noticed there are more long searches in YouTube than in Google. Should I make posts about these searches in YouTube? Well, you can, but I would definitely want to look and make sure that that stuff was also being ranked for, or that was being searched for inside of Google, or maybe a variation of it. But again, probably because maybe those searches just aren't being reported back to the keyword research tools or Uber Suggest or whatever. So even if it has a 0 search, I would play with it. I would try that. But if you're going to create a YouTube video, then it's a no-brainer that I would do that. Let's see. Have you added any videos to the niche workshop? I'm not sure if Chris added the product post one. I know that he was working on that. But Salma, when we do, we will be definitely updating you on that. But in the meantime, you should be creating those top 10 and starting to create those pieces of content in the meantime. Can you create infographics on Canva? Yes. Again, time, or do you want to invest in someone else doing it, right? And so you can do it in there, but is it going to be worth your time just to hire that out? Depends. Alejandro, another question to go after. Do you say niche or niche or niche? You should have did it Neesh is how you should have did that one. But yeah, it's for me, it's niche, I guess. Nitch, I guess. But I know it's a big debate out there. But I'm going to go with niche. It just feels better for me. I'm just going to say niche. It's not niche. So I got a buddy of mine that doesn't say tournament. He says tournament. So is it tournament or tournament? That's another one. Tournament. Which one is it? All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. This is going to wrap up this episode and this coffee talk. I will be back Friday, but it's going to be done a little bit different. So stay tuned. And I'll share with you what that's going to look like. And we'll see. I'm going to do a little test. So I'll let you know how that goes. In the meantime, if you have any more questions on this, you can always drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to go back to these and maybe pull them for a Friday jam session or something like that. If you are inside of the Niche Properties class, make sure that you go through the training and then make sure that you start actually implementing. And then also, if you are watching this and you have not yet jumped in and started building your own niche property, well, make sure that you head on over and check it out. Maybe it's the time right now for you to do it. Head on over to buildnicheproperties.com and you can get enrolled and get started as soon as possible. Got a lot of cool things that we got planned. We've got a whole section we're going to probably be doing on expired domains. We have another section that we're going to be doing on keyword research, this methodology, but we're going to run some case studies and we're going to report on it inside of there. We got some really cool stuff that we're doing. So again, if you're not part of the Niche Properties class, make sure that you head on over and check it out and see if it is the right fit for you. All right. So buildnicheproperties.com. You can get all the information over there. Guys, have an awesome, amazing day. Take care, take action, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.